NPN number 918615.
This is the Verizon Extra Innings Show. Verizon, the most reliable 5G in St. Louis.
Tough night for the Cardinals. They had a lead. They couldn't hold on to it, and they end up losing the series opener against Kansas City tonight here at Busch Stadium. Final score here this evening was 10-7. It's the Extra Innings Show here on KMOX. If you'd like to join the program, you can do so. Multiple ways to get connected. You can call or text 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, or you can leave a message on the video stream if you are watching. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. Wherever you are watching, you can go ahead and leave a message on the chat, and we will certainly address that to get things going. I want to get this out of the way first, and we've gotten a ton of text messages on these two questions. I'm not going to read the exact text messages because I don't need to go through people's feelings about Oliver Marmol and a decision that was made today. I'm actually a little bit surprised at the reaction that is coming down on a couple moves that were made because I think they were the right moves. So instead of reading every single text message that have come in on this, let's just go through the two moves that were talked about a lot in terms of listener text messages and things like that. So we'll get to those first off. First off, the decision to allow Andre Pallante to stay in the game and face Bobby Witt Jr. I understand the optics on that one because it's Bobby Witt Jr. and there's a lot of hits coming. I have two things. First off, the answer that Oliver Marmol gave was completely correct. You're going into a stretch of playing 13 straight games. You need to be a little bit more careful on when you're going to start to unload the bullpen on the first of 13 straight. That's common sense. And Pallante, while he was being hit, that was a lot of ground ball stuff from Pallante. And I'm not saying that he wasn't hit hard. Exit velos were very legit on those. But it wasn't a whole lot different than what we had seen from Pallante during the period of him getting 13 out. The only difference was those balls were finding holes on the infield, just one after another after another. So there was nothing in that moment that would tell you that Pallante wasn't going to be able to find a way to record an out. It didn't look a whole lot different there in the fifth inning than it looked in the fourth inning and in the third inning and in the second inning, except for the fact that those ground balls were finding their way through. And again, that's not a reason to start to unload your bullpen on day one of 13 straight days. So I'm Team Ollie on that one for sure. The second one that people are really getting on him about, and this is the one I actually like, the optics of having Andre Pallante face off against Bobby Witt Jr. I understand maybe before you really think through everything that goes along with that, why you would be upset about that. I hope, as you think through it, maybe a little bit more, you start to see the decision-making process that goes along with it. So from an optics standpoint, yeah, I get why people complained about that. The one I don't understand is people complaining about Kyle Leahy coming in for Steven Matz. So Matz gives up the base hit to Kyle Isbell. And then they go to Leahy at that point, trying to get the final out of the inning. So you go lefty for righty. What happens to the Kansas City lineup when you get to the top? It's a righty lane, 3 straight righties, India, Witt, Garcia, 3 straight righties. Of course you make that move. That's as simple as it gets. Of course you make that move. And I'm not saying that Matz hasn't been good against righties this year, but in that moment, in that situation, in a high leverage spot, you're still very much in this game. Of course you make that move. That's an easy one for me. That's a really easy one for me. You get that, you get Leahy into the righty lane. It's a good reminder that good decisions always don't work out with a good result, and bad decisions don't always work out with a bad result. Sometimes you make a good decision and you get a bad result. Sometimes you make a bad decision and you get a good result. That was clearly a good decision to go to Leahy in that moment. It was just a decision that didn't work out. Didn't make it a bad decision. All right, we'll get into some of the other messages that are coming in here. I think this is certainly worth talking about from the 314. The pitching staff has hit a wall, and they have 13 games in a row to play. 29 runs allowed against two struggling offense in the last 4 games says it all. Palante is looking like the Palante of old, and the bullpen is faltering again. Call up McGreevy. The only thing I would push back a little bit is that Palante looks like the Palante of old. It was the ground balls got him today. Hard hit ground balls. You'd like it to be soft contact. It wasn't soft contact. Hard hit ground balls, but I don't think there was anything overly alarming about what we saw from Palante. It was a lot of bad luck for Palante with those ground balls finding the way through. Again, the bad luck contributed by the fact that they were hard hit on the ground, but a lot of those end up as outs for him. But the bigger point, yes, you are correct. The pitching staff has not been as good here recently. The 2 big outputs against the Rangers, the big output today. As far as calling up McGreevy, I think it's going to happen. I don't exactly know what it's going to look like. If you listen to Oliver Marmol on the Gas House Gang today, he was asked about going to a 6-man rotation during the month of June. He basically said they were going to do it, but wouldn't say if it was going to be Matz or McGreevy. But if you read between the lines on what Ollie said, when he was talking about Matz maybe being the guy, he kind of spoke about it in more of a negative connotation because he specifically spoke about, well, if you're going to use Matz, that means there's going to be 3 days in front and 3 days behind, that he's not going to be available. And he talked a little bit more glowingly about, McGreevy. So again, he didn't say it for sure. He was asked by the assembled media prior to the game today if there was going to be an announcement. He said it'll be at some point in the next day or two. So no official announcement, but I think it's going to be McGreevy. I think we're smart enough to kind of listen to what's being said and say that it's going to be McGreevy. Plus, McGreevy was rolling today into the 5th inning, and they took him out in Memphis, and it was not due to injury, and it was just due to pitch count. I don't think they want him to extend himself. So I guess my only question on my belief is they'll call up McGreevy. My only question on how that's going to look is if they're going to call up McGreevy and have him stay here for the month and be the 6th man and be on the roster, or if they're going to do something where they call him up to make a start, send him back down for 10 days, call him back up to make another start. If you do it that way, you're able to give most of your rotation an extra day off because you'll have another off day 2 weeks from today or 2 weeks from yesterday, the Monday after next. So there'll only be a handful of guys who would make that second trip through the rotation with normal rest. If you do that with McGreevy and have him sit for 10 days, I don't know what it's going to look like. The fact that I think that they were setting McGreevy up to come up to St. Louis today with his pitch count would make me think maybe it's going to be more of a, I say permanent, more of a he's here for the time being type thing and not up and down and up and down. But either way, I would fully expect Michael McGreevy to make at least 2 starts in the month of June, if not more than that. The video message coming in from Henry. He says, I still believe in this coaching staff and this team. It says, tough game tonight. Goes on to say, no way around it. We'll rebound with a strong homestand. The club could be a contender. Lost the first 2 games in May as well. Yeah, I'm not worried about anything from a big picture standpoint. From a right now standpoint, the pitching has not been performing the way that you would like it to perform, and it's something that they have to get fixed. Justin has a couple messages, says the 5th inning hurt the Cardinals, pitching giving up 6 hits, 5 runs. Goes on to say the Cardinals had lots of chances to gain more runs tonight. They left 10 on. They had the chances of getting the lead tonight. Yeah, it was real, man. This was a tale of 2 games. Cardinals were, they scored those 7 runs in the first 3 innings. Maybe it was just the case of they had a lot of success against Michael Lorenzen, and they couldn't do much else against anybody else that Kansas City threw out there. But they had the success against Lorenzen, and then they couldn't do much of anything else. And then they go 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position. They leave a couple runners on, few times. Let's see, they They left 2 runners on base when it comes to the final few innings of the game. They did that in the 6th inning, they did that in the 7th inning, and then they did that in the 9th inning. So they had the potential tying run at the plate in 3 of the final 4 innings, and they just couldn't come up with that proverbial big hit that they needed. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me if you'd like, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. That is how you get in contact with the program. We are being brought to you, as always, by Gray Bar. Gray Bar is your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. We'll take a break, have more in just a moment. As the Cardinals fall short, they end up losing to Kansas City today. Final score 10-7. More in a moment, right here on KMOX.
You might know Gray Bar for cable and connectivity, but there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services, like material staging and kitting, or maybe our logistics specialist, who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
There's a big red barn where you save green. Norm's Bargain Barn. On discount windows, doors, and things. Norm's Bargain Barn.
Hi, I'm Norm Wilkie. Come see my new selection of Amish cabinetry made by my good Amish friends at Countrywood Products. We now stock 5 styles of cabinetry for you to choose from.
When you need to save on discount windows, doors, and cabinetry, come to Norm's Bargain Barn. With locations in Shiloh and Fenton at the bottom of Gravois Bluffs. Visit normsbargainbarn.com.
That's normsbargainbarn.com.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we are more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. From startups to established businesses to estate plans, we are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. With offices in Missouri and Illinois, you can conveniently visit us today at sandbergphoenix.com. That's sandbergphoenix.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Now, back to the Verizon Extra Innings Show.
Cardinals come up short. They lose to Kansas City by a 10-7 score. Welcome back in. This is the Extra Innings Show here on KMOX. Text message from the 314 says, I love that John Hewlett announces when a player is making his Major League debut. It's cool to see even Cardinals fans cheer for Caglianone's first at-bat. I hope the Busch Stadium crowd never loses its magnanimous appreciation for the sport. Yeah, great point. It is like there's something special about being at the ballpark and you hear John say, man, making his Major League debut. I love it. I love it when guys come up and make their big league debut. And this one was a little bit different because of the pomp and circumstance that goes along with the number 10 prospect in all of baseball. Caglianone has superstar written all over him, and for him to get to the big leagues in less than a year, I think Kyle Sixta told me today that the only other Royal that made it that quick to the big leagues was Bo Jackson. So that's pretty good company to be in. It's just fun. Like as someone who loves the game of baseball and you love the potential of stars of the future and guys that you know about coming up through the respective systems. So yeah, bummer for him. He had his whole family here and everything. A person as somebody who wants to see the Cardinals have success, I'm glad they had success against him. But for him and his family and the Kansas City folks that were here, I'm sure he's a little bit bummed out by the fact that he did not get a hit today. Hit the first ball hard, like right off the bat. Thought there was maybe a chance it was going to get out. Victor Scott made a really good play out there in center field. But that's fine. Like everybody who was at the ballpark today can say they were at the Major League debut of Jack Caglianone, and maybe he turns into a superstar, maybe he doesn't. It certainly is never a guarantee. He's got everything going for him that would say that he will, but again, not a guarantee. but it's fun. It's fun to be there, and it's kind of part of the romance of baseball and why I love the sport so much. And whether it's one of the top prospects in all of baseball or a guy who's just been grinding in the minor leagues looking to make his major league debut, I always really, really appreciate when those guys do arrive. So I think it's a great story, and I do love the fact, like the texter said, love the fact that John Hewlett, the Cardinals public address announcer, is always makes note of when a hitter comes up to the plate for their first ever major league at bat. Mentioned Kyle Leahy. He certainly has struggled a bit recently, has been so good this year. In some ways, I think what we're seeing right here is him kind of regressing back to what he was. He wasn't going to carry a sub-2 ERA all season long. That just wasn't going to be something. So maybe we're seeing a little bit of regression, but where he'll stabilize out here sooner than later. Nonetheless, just a little while ago, he did speak inside the Cardinals clubhouse.
There's things I look at all the time. Constantly making adjustments even when things are results-wise going well. So it's baseball, there's ups and downs. Trying to write the downs or make the downs as short as possible. But yeah, it's a constant battle every day to stay on top of being sharp.
Anything you can put your finger on at this stretch here?
No, nothing totally. There's not a super easy answer that's just gonna, fix everything. I wish there was. I wish I could go to bed tonight and come back and have everything go wonderfully, but that's just not how this game works.
Go ahead. No, sorry, Kyle. When you look at the way things are measuring out for you, is the bat a thing that you pay attention to, or is that, I don't know, is that a non-controllable and you just sort of let it get to where it gets?
Once the ball leaves my hand, yeah, it is a non-controllable, but I can make better pitches and execute pitches to make it harder on the hitters to put better swings on balls, which will lead to more balls finding holes. So, yeah, it's a non-controllable, but it's also a controllable. I can make more quality pitches to make that less of a factor.
You said you got to this point, made this improvement by learning from every outing. Do you feel like you're getting closer, or are you learning from these things?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, every time you're on the mound, you feel something. It's like I don't feel like any outing is the exact same. You never throw the ball in the exact same spot as you did the last outing. It's like a snowflake or something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you learn something, you feel something new every time, and you just try to build on it and get better every day.
That's Kyle Leahy speaking with the media a little while ago. That's interesting to put it. That's like a snowflake, that no pitch is ever exactly the same. Text message comes in from the 573, a sarcastic text message that said, "Way to go, pitchers. Hitters give you a 5-run lead and you cough up 8 runs. Keep it up and the Cardinals will be sitting at the bottom of the division." This is part of baseball. You have games like this. There are certainly times where it's going to be the exact opposite, and where pitchers go out and throw a shutout, give up 1 run late, something in the 9th inning or whatever, and you just can't hit. Like this happens over the course of the year. And pitching wasn't good tonight. I'm not telling you the pitching was good tonight, but pitching's been pretty darn good for a while for the Cardinals. It has taken a downturn over the last week or so, and now the job is for the pitching to get back going once again. In terms of the Cardinals sitting at the bottom of the division, have you watched the Pittsburgh Pirates? You lose a little bit of credibility with that statement, because clearly, the Pittsburgh Pirates are the worst team in the division, one of the worst teams in all of baseball. So no, the Cardinals are not going to be sitting at the bottom of the division. Now, I don't think there's a whole lot of the Cubs, to their credit, and it pains me to say that, the Cubs, to their credit, have started to pull away a bit. They have a fantastic record at 38-22. That is tied with the New York Mets for the best record in the National League. So maybe the Cubs are part of this equation. Maybe they're not. Let's just take them out of the equation for a moment to be totally fair about things. There's not a lot of difference between the Cardinals, Brewers, and Reds. There's not. 4 games separate them out right now. The Reds are 9 games back of the Cubs. The Cardinals are 5 games back, so the Reds are 4 back. The Brewers are just 1 game back of the Cardinals right now. There's a lot from an overall talent standpoint. those teams are kind of, they're very similar. And whether the Cubs start to fall back and it turns into a 4-team race in the NL Central, or whether those 3 teams are part of a bigger race for the wild card, I would suspect that at the end of the season, Cardinals, Brewers, Reds are all going to be in a pretty similar spot. What's on Deck is presented by Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. Game 2 of this series going to be coming up tomorrow night here at Busch Stadium. Cardinals have Miles Michaelis on the mound. The right-hander is 4-2 with a 3.90 ERA. Lefty Noah Cameron is going to go tomorrow for the Royals. 2-1, 1.05 ERA. Another 6:45 first pitch. That means our coverage is set to begin at 5:50. And a reminder for you that the Extra Innings Show is presented by Graybar. Graybar is your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. One last text message real quick. Said from 618, they're going to start needing to churn new arms into the bullpen. They may. Look, and I think we're going to see Ryan Fernandez here before soon. They just signed Tyler Matzik. He struggled this year with the Yankees, but that's a guy who has pitched pretty well at the big league level recently. And that is that they need better performance from the bullpen, especially starting this 13 straight days. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow for more Cardinals baseball here on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Zero Res. So summertime is finally here, which means warm weather's here, which means entertaining is here and graduation parties.